Okay guys, good afternoon, this is Dong. We'll be doing a review of this Ducati Monster 795, which is one of the iconic naked sports bike that was ever produced by the Ducati Italian motorcycle company. It is Ducati Monster 795, which really saved Ducati from possibility of bankruptcy during that time. So, as we all know that this is a naked sports bike, which is originally, if you have the sports bike, there are pairings on both sides. Like this Ducati Monster has this more relaxed position, especially with respect to this handlebar. It is more upright compared to the sports bike, whereby there are clips on right here. But this one, the original handlebar of this one was actually here, and then I just installed this handlebar riser, replace the handlebar, because the handlebar of the original Ducati Monster is a bit lower compared to this one. So this one has an additional more or less 2 inches of height compared to the stock one. So I have actually improved my position in this bike, because I have literally increased the height up to more or less 4 inches, and even made the handlebar a bit closer to me. So the riding orientation now is a bit upright compared to the original handlebar. I am leaning forward, so my hands would be resting here on the handle grip, and whenever you apply the brakes, especially on front, you will feel the tension going forward, and then your hands would feel the weight moving forward, and that is very uncomfortable. But now, since my position is a bit upright, so I can literally say that driving this one is a lot easier than before. However, front, you have 4 pistons on the Brembo brake, and then at the rear you have 1 piston. It is fair enough and sufficient enough for you to stop the motorcycle whenever you're driving fast. But in the front, it's really a different design. There are 2 disc brakes up front, so you'll have a better chances of stopping, especially if you are fast. Although I was told that whenever you apply brakes, you have to apply it I don't know, evenly, or you have to apply the brake first at the rear and then up front. The bike is a bit faster. I was told that the rear brake would be applied first than the first. But so this one, you will usually use this front brakes whenever you're in traffic and both of your legs are resting on the ground. So you have the control of the brakes here up front. So during this time, Ducati did away with the traditional analog instrument cluster. This is more of a primitive digital style instrument cluster that you really don't have much information on this one. And one thing that you have to remember is that there is no gas gauge, so you will be seeing a notification right here whenever the gas is already low, that this will illuminate, and then you have to go to the nearest gasoline station for you to fill up. So the controls are basically the same compared to those other bikes. You have on the left side, you have here the control for the headlights, and then for the turn signal, and for the horn, of course, for the passing light right here. And of course, this one is intended for you to switch from one setting to another, which will be displayed right here. And also on the right side, you have, of course, the starter button. Also added here a switch for the auxiliary fan that I installed right here up front, for the oil cooler, which is just placed right here, and this can be turned on anytime. So I did not hook this to the ignition, because I might give wrong signal to the ECU, and that would probably gives us some fault. So as we all know, during the 80s and the 90s, vehicles and motorcycles, they are going into design of using more plastic rather than metal. So you will be surprised that the gas tank is not metal, it's plastic actually. And whenever you remove this thing, you'll see actually these are just the cover. There are actually two sides, it can be removed. And then the gas tank is underneath. Right here is also made of plastic. And of course the battery is positioned here, in the bottom of the gas tank, and it's a bit cumbersome for you to remove this thing, especially whenever you would like to service the battery, because you have to remove so many bolts and everything, and that is a bit tricky and will take some time for you to remove the battery. So this thing is a cowl, a cover where you can remove Allen bolt right here and also the other sides, and then this thing will just give you a cool look of the Ducati Monster with that red, the iconic red for the Ducati Monster. If you have a back rider, so you have to remove this cowl. Okay, the original mufflers of this Ducati Monster was placed a bit slanted upward, and the end is somewhere here. There are actually two stock mufflers. I got this one on Lazada. It's a bit cheaper. So this is a Ducati Monster 795. You have actually two swing arms, and the 796 model has only one swing arm, which is located here at the left side of the rider. This brake of that 796 is also positioned beside the chain. So this is chain driven. It's prone to wear and tear. Of course, you have to service this every now and then. And then you have to replace the chain, of course, and also the cogs at the rear. And it's a bit cumbersome because you have to really seriously consider changing this as soon as these are already worn out. And this is the L-Twin 803cc, and this is one of those unique designs. Well, I think this is the only L-Twin design engine for motorcycles. So the V-Twin is more used particularly by Harley Davidson, and as they were saying that this design, the L-Twin, is better compared to the V-Twin. Why? Because of the rear cylinder banks is not being blocked by the front cylinder bank if it is a V-twin design, and air would flow easily in this design, the L-Twin, and there is no obstruction of the air in this direction going to the rear cylinder bank. And also the front cylinder bank has, of course, a better ventilation coming from the air right here compared to the V-Twin. V-Twin would literally block the rear cylinder banks. This one is, of course, air cooled, and there is an oil cooler up front for you to cool the engine, and then that will cool down the engine. Of course, the oil will help to avoid the possibility of overheating. Okay, that Ducati is really notorious for emitting unnecessary heat. Whenever you ride this one and then you're stuck in the traffic, mind you, you'll be pissed off with that unnecessary heat that's really coming out of the engine. I don't know about the Ducati, why it's really notorious as far as this heat coming from the engine is concerned. I really don't know about other bikes, BMW, Harley Davidson. I have not heard of some complaints from the riders. I was warned that you have to be mindful that it's so difficult for you to ride this, especially when you're stuck in the traffic, and then the engine will really piss you off with that unnecessary heat coming from the engine. I don't know, maybe coming from this cylinder banks, or maybe one thing. I think one of the reasons why is that the design of this thing, particularly the mufflers design, is already here underneath the seat, and of course the muffler and the exhaust system is right here, so it's really near you. And that's why in the later designs of Ducati, they simply rerouted the exhaust system, no, going right here underneath, and then the mufflers are basically located right here that will somehow be isolating the exhaust system from the rider. But even if in that kind of design, they were saying that still just the same thing that they would experience. The heat is really unbearable and so inconvenient for you to ride this motorcycle. And that's one of the complaints that I'm having right now as well. But no complaints in some other aspect because this thing is really fast. It really gives you that enough torque whenever you need it. Although I'm a slow rider, I don't really ride this thing fast. I'm on a safer side. And the engine is a unique design because this one is, they call it Desmodromic, compared to the typical engine with valves and there's a spring. So the action is only one way. So the tappet would press on the valve going down, and the spring, there's a tension, and then the valve will go up because of that spring tensioning up, no, going up. But this one is Desmodromic. There are no springs on all of the valves. However, there are 2 cam lobes for each valve. Technically, there are 8 cam lobes for all of these 4 valves, 2 valves here and 2 valves on the other side. So technically, the first lobe would be used to press the cylinder valve going down, and the other lobe will be used to pull up the valve that was already open. There are 2 actions actually, going down and going up. Compared to the typical valve design of some other engines, there's only one direction, going down, and then the valve will go up because of the tension of the spring. That will be, it is compressed while going down, and then it will decompress going up. Okay, so that's one thing that is really unique. And as we all know, the Desmodromic design is really a high torque engine, and this one can rev up to 14,000 revolutions per minute because of the fact that if there is a spring in the valve, the spring would, or rather the valve would be having this floating situation whenever there's already high revving, more probably around 8,000 or 10,000 revolution per minute. And chances are the valve and the piston would hit each other because of the spring, the so-called floating spring, no? Could not compensate the tension of the fast-moving valve, and that will be catastrophic as far as your engine is concerned. That will be the damage, and the cost of repair would be astronomical, I may say. Unlike this one, you don't have any possibility of valve float or spring that is really cannot cope up with the fast-moving valve. Well, technically, because there's no, of course, spring, because this one is Desmodromic. However, my experience and even some Ducati owners, the engine is really a bit noisy. Because there are 2 actions of each valve, one going down and going up. So you can hear the engine is really noisy, and there are these ticking sounds that you will really hear every now and then, particularly when the engine is cold, and those ticking sounds are very dominant. However, once you get used to it, you'll somehow forget that your engine is really having those, well, unique or annoying sound, I may say. Enthusiasts will always say that the engine is unique, and that's the signature sound of this Ducati Monster. Another one that I also bought is this side mirror that is usually for copy racer, no? Because I prefer this thing, although whenever I'm filtering on the traffic, this will be longer compared to the other, if the side mirror is right here. So this will somehow affect my way of filtering on the traffic. Okay, that is my overview of this Ducati Monster, and then I'll be riding this one and then see what we can okay, that's my overview of this Ducati Monster 7